Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video. And um, in the world of news at this time, the breaking news is that the Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that Tom Brady has another Super Bowl ring. Surprise, surprise. What can I say? Um, the the thrill of sports and statistics of it and all that. I'm not gonna lie to you, family. Years ago, um, as I started learning more and more about our history, and then definitely when I found out that we were the people, and I started studying history more, the Book of Maccabees and stuff, and it talked about, how they got our people mixed up into the Greek way of life and everything. And then also just looking at more of the hidden history here in the state that I lived in, dealing with racism. Uh, I, I, I grew to believe that the sports and music are the two things that they always use to distract us from the bigger issues. Because if you can remember back in the 60s when they had the Olympics and they had the two black Olympians that put on the black gloves and did the raised fist, they were stating, well, they should, run, they shouldn't get involved in politics and all this kind of stuff. And it was the same thing if you was in the military, that, oh yeah, you can fight for this nation, but if you see the injustices that's going on in this country against your people, and you're supposed to be fighting for the rights of the people of the United States, to include your people, then you were wrong. And so it's kind of like, hey, that article by Laura Ingrams, I think, some years ago, where she told LeBron James to shut up and dribble, and even throughout the careers of many sports stars, that whenever they tried to stand up, a lot of times, no matter how meager their attempt might be, they were quickly shut down, or they was given something to distract them. And I know the big thing with Tom Brady is that a lot of players, I think both black and white, have felt that he was given a little bit more leniency and protection than other players, in particular because he was seen as the answer to the athletic black quarterbacks that were coming out and were dominating the scene, that he would be the quintessential classic drop back California uh, uh, white kid, happy go lucky, get the prettiest girl at the party type of guy, that we're gonna put him up to push back against the image that the quarterback was turning into with uh, the ones that was coming out, Michael Vick, um, Deshaun Watson, and the whole bevy of other black quarterbacks that were coming out. And so that when that the the cheating scandal came out years ago, where they said that the New England Patriots were using drones and spies and other stuff to go watch other teams' practices. A lot of people kind of felt that the fix is in, but the fix has always been in for sports, and what it was created for is nothing more than Marty and the gladiators. And at first, the Romans and the Greeks, when they did it, it was to worship the human body, the strength, the speed, the agility, all of that. But as these empires started declining, we know that they used, particularly the Romans used the gladiator fights and all that stuff as a distraction. As the empire was collapsing, that was an escape for the people, even though they knew that the empire was falling from within. And I can't say that Babylon is falling from within, because it is always in our estimation, overall as a people, we've never been in the mix like that, because even with them pointing to all these black sports stars, that's multimillionaires, when you look at a lot of their careers, at least in not maybe now, but a lot, previous to this time, you looked at a lot of them after they played, a lot of them were debilitated health, or they squandered a lot of their money. They cut, I gotta be careful how I say this, because I can understand how our people can sometimes be leeches upon people that get money, but how they didn't give back to their community, at least in a productive way. Because I don't always believe that you have to give money. Money is good, but it's just other things that they probably could have done. And some of them probably did secretly do things for people that they didn't shout out as much. And I commend them for them, but overall, because it was almost like, you on this plantation of a sports team, and you are getting paid pretty good, or whatever, a better standard of life or whatever. But if you see inequities, you have to be kind of careful, because you don't want to mess your chances up. Sort of like what happened with Colin Kaepernick. Even though the protesting and stuff started picking up when he got involved, but it wasn't like other black players was not protesting before he did. It was just that because he was formerly had played in the Super Bowl, it made it more high profile, and it kind of caught a lot of people off guard, because they said up until that time, a lot of people, he kind of was like, hey, it's just there, but it was almost like he had an awakening. Now, it's just is some questionable things that was said about the kind of money that he made, as opposed to some of the other players that took a knee and they didn't get a big contract with Nike. But I think still he did take a hit in some instances, and it, like I said, it just goes to show that sports is we as black people, as Hebrew people, should look at it as a distraction that it sometimes can be. It shouldn't be the end means to the end. If we have people that are participating in it, it shouldn't preclude them from looking at the bigger picture. Although I can see some hesitancy by some black sports stars or players to participate in trying to help the people, because sometimes we can be notorious and not backing them up and supporting them when they stick their neck out there like that. So it's kind of a give and take, where some people say, well, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. Sort of like I said, some of the players that might come out of the hood, but they might not want to go back, because you can think about Stephon Marbury. He was very flashy and flamboyant when he entered the NBA, and they, I think, stated when he went back to the neighborhood that he grew up in New York, he was wearing a $200,000 necklace and he got robbed. So you can imagine his hesitancy. Even though myself, I'm understanding that my status is different, I'm not gonna be coming probably like that in my neighborhood, flashing and flossing and all that kind of stuff, because you was hungry too. You knew how it was. That maybe if you had been on the other side, maybe you would have thought the same thing. So it's sort of like in the army, don't make your buddy a thief. Don't come through here flashing and flossing and everything, and you know that jealousy and envy can pop up. Hey, just you come, make sure you have your proper security, because you living at a different level now, and it's not that you're trying to be better than anybody, but hey, you don't want to be somebody's meal. You don't want coming in the neighborhood and these cats eat you up, shake you down, whatever, do whatever it is, and you say, well, I still got family that lives here. Well, even with that, you can think about Dominique Wilkins when I remember he did an interview and he stated his first year he bought his mama a house, he bought his sister's houses, and he didn't really understand the fact that you do get paid per game that you play in the NBA, and if you miss certain games, you won't that even though you sign that contract for that amount of money, you might not get it. And also the fact that you got fees, insurance, all the other kind of stuff just got to come out, and then taxes, all these things. So I think he said that when he got through doing that, he just had enough to buy him and his, I don't know if he was married at the time, I think he stated his fiance or whoever, he had just enough just to buy them an ordinary house where he had been buying everybody else mansions, not to mention the standard of living of a person going from being poor living in a mansion. They don't have that kind of money to sustain where they're going to be living at. All those thoughts don't go into your mind. But when you come from the poor inner city of Baltimore, like he did, and then of course, he moved down south to North Carolina and to Washington, North Carolina, to play basketball, but still coming from the inner city, and then little small little town down there and on the coast of eastern North Carolina, the coast. You're not thinking about those things. You thinking about, I got to do this, I got to do that, and so that it can become all consuming, where our people, we are lost because of a lack of knowledge. We don't have a knowledge. We were sold the bill that sports is going to be the way out. Get get on the team, be the best quarterback, be the best running back, be the best defensive, offensive lineman, defensive back, cornerback, whatever, safety, and get out there and put your name out there and accumulate a lot of money, and you're gonna be okay, right? But then as a human being, a thinking human being that sees all these things and understands that I can make a small difference, but that you are put on a different course as a black person, that if you speak out, now you disturbing the current. Whereas if you was a white player, right, and let's just say America went to war with some country in Africa, and that white player said, yeah, America need to get over there and kick those African butts, how many people would get upset with him saying that? Probably not a lot. Probably there'd be some black players on there say, yeah, kick those African butts, not understanding, hey, some of them Africans could be who I'm descended from. You couldn't say that, because then they say, oh, you're a traitor to your country. You're unpatriotic. You see the dichotomy that we have to deal with. So I understand it's gonna probably be a lot of black people that's gonna say, "Oh, Tom Brady, they did this for him to help him win. He always had it made. How is it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers couldn't make it with the black quarterback that they had before? It's all fixed or whatever. It's all a distraction. Even if it's true or not true, it's all a distraction. And I'm not saying, don't watch sports anymore. I'm not saying that you can't wear your hats and your jerseys and everything. I got a Panther hat that I wear. I got some Carolina gear that I wear, but I don't put my time and effort in it like, I did, sweating out. And now I never gambled. I never bet. I think for myself, what I observe about sports, particularly in the age, and probably always has been this way, is just the gambling part. That a lot of reason that now a lot of people are into sports is yeah, they like the athleticism, but also the amount of money that can be generated betting. And now that a lot of people are at home and some people are out of work, to some, this is how they make their money, through to online betting and thing where you don't have to leave your house, of course. You don't have to be there at the game, all kinds of stuff. And cause to me, the biggest money makers on the internet is sports betting and also pornography. Hands down, is probably nothing that can, on the dark web, from what I understand, the wicked diabolicalists, pornography and abuse and snuff films, that they say is just that if they took all this stuff, the money that's accumulated by that, it would probably be a major portion of the gross domestic product of this country. It's no doubt, because you see it all the time. You hear about these large brackets, sports brackets during the NCAA at work. You see it with the Super Bowl parties and stuff. That's a lot of it is people fantasy football team where, hey, they got a lot of money on the line. That's what it's. I mean, it's people getting together to have some beers and blow off some steam with the two teams. They live vicariously through, but it's the betting part. And the Bible states that in the end, that it would get to that part. It said men would not repent of the different things that they would be doing in the end. And although it is some people that follow these players religiously, where it is almost like a religion, but I still think the majority of it is about betting. And that you can see it in some of the Super Bowls where certain teams were leading, and then like with the game with Kaepernick when he was for the 49ers and they was playing against the Ravens or whatever, and I think they had the problem, the issues or whatever in the game. And then also, what was it the I can't remember, was it who they were playing? I think they were playing, was it the Ravens? I can't remember which team. It's been a while ago, and like I said, I don't really follow it like I used to. I don't follow basketball and all that stuff. I just start understanding how much of a distraction it can be. And don't get me wrong, when my sons them grew up, I let them play, football as long as they wanted to. I didn't never push them. I knew parents that pushed their children to play, and they would go all them years and they said, well, it's just good, it teaches them this, that, and other. But then you understand that they might come close to getting a scholarship to go play, and then they would say, "Hey, I don't have to play no more. My parents put me up here, and I'm gonna do this, and now I'm not gonna play no more, and forget the scholarship when they could have got a scholarship playing football, but they basically was just doing it or whatever." And then you just look at all that time and effort or whatever, and it's like, the parent might have been thinking, "Hey, this is how they're gonna get me out of the ghetto. We're gonna become an NBA or NFL star, taking them all these AAU basketball games and everything." Like I said, I did the football thing with one of my sons. I did the basketball thing with one of my sons. I did the soccer thing with another one of my sons. I even did two of them that did karate. And when they lost interest in it and they didn't want to do it anymore, I didn't push them. I said, "Okay, you don't want to do it anymore. I put it out there for you. Obviously, that's not the way you want to go." And we just kind of try to, you know, um, let them kind of figure out what they want to do. If they didn't want to, do the sports thing, then so be it. But again, like I said, it's a thing that is very big in the black community worldwide, even in Africa where they soccer or whatever. But people, I really believe that definitely as we are getting closer to the next big thing that the Most High is going to do amongst our people, where He's bringing us together, we got to refocus our energy. We got to refocus our focus on us coming together, not around athleticism, not around charitable organizations like the Red Cross and American Heart Society. And we got to come back around the fact of our commonality, in that, first of all, we need to be born again. We need to come together around that commonality, but also to throw in there the commonality that we are the people of the book, and that Most High said He was going to gather us back together. He was going to rally us back around together around what? Us coming back together so that we could present ourselves before Yeshua again and ask His forgiveness as a nation, and so that He can heal us and make us a people again. A people that was lost, a people was dispersed because of us being distracted by other nations, what other nations were doing, which is what sports is, being distracted what other nations was doing. Because when the slave was on the plantation, the masters and understanding the great athleticism that we exhibited in the things that we did, said, "Let's get them to boxing, let's get them to fighting, let's get them to wrestling." And how they were, let's let them get in, like in the movie Roots, let us get them into chicken fight and make money for us. And then over time, they tried to get us excited about that. In the face of our people being whipped and raped and all that, that the one that was excelling in sports, that he could kind of overlook that and say, "That's them, not me." You see the play. And so this is the same thing that plays now, that if a black player, let's just say a quarterback, would have won the Super Bowl, and he would have took the time tonight, if it had been a black player and won, and say, "This is for George Floyd and blah 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 and Black Lives Matter." Not that I'm not that I'm for the organization Black Matters, but I am for Black Lives Matter. The focus of what that means. Then people would say, "Oh, he just messed up the Super Bowl by doing that." He would have just had to do the acceptance speech and do the thing of thank my mom, because a lot of times they wasn't raised by their father, they was raised by their mom, and then everybody would be happy. But see, Tom Brady doesn't have to worry about that kind of thing. If this is his last game, he'll ride out in the sunset, and we already know. And this is prerogative that he was definitely a Trump supporter. That that these are the faces that they're gonna put up and probably quell the even the thoughts about the insurrection, because they're gonna say, look, the all American kid has won, and then all the angst about this nation falling apart will be forgotten, because they're saying our hope, our great hope has won. We still can be on top. You understand? And so like I said, I didn't even watch it. I just seen the headlines. But black people, Hebrew people, we need to be looking at frying bigger fish than winning the Super Bowl and getting our face out there and waiting for the new Jordan shoe to come out and waiting for the new Coming to America 2 to come out this summer and waiting for the next Black Panther. We gotta start getting together, because the Most High is getting ready to drop some jewels. He's getting ready to drop some things into the earth, and we got to be there to pick it up. Now that doesn't mean that everybody, because he said there was not going to be a lot of us that was going to participate in this thing, that was going to get caught up in the things surrounding us. That's just the sad truth. But us that are awakening, we gotta get in tune with the things that he's getting ready to drop, the things that he's getting ready to do, and understand them, and be in agreement with him, because he's gonna do them regardless. So if you continue, concentrating on what you're gonna do, and think things are gonna get back to normal like they did, you can continue on doing it. You can continue on, doing the fantasy football, continue on doing the brackets for the NCAA. And I'm not telling you that there's anything wrong with doing that if you want to do it. I'm not particularly talking about doing money. I wouldn't do it, but I'm saying, but I would just I would just recommend not putting as much energy as you should, because if you're not understanding, these teams are losing money. They are losing money, and it's gonna be a different way of doing things that's gonna come. That's gonna catch a lot of us off guard, because we just determined to try to make things go back to the way they were. And they might give some semblance to that, but it's going to come at the great price if you're going to go be into that system. So now is the time to harness our energies in prayer and fasting, and the ministry of the word in your own life, not always having to get a word from the a YouTube ministry or a church or whatever, that you learn to get a word for yourself. That's what these videos are to me. I am subscribed to some YouTube channels. I look at them and watch them, but out of that I determine my own understanding, and I ask the Most High Yah that the totality of what is actually being said, that he will give us the understanding, because it's just too many different understandings out there for you to try to focus in on one person. A lot of people say you can't eat from too many different troughs, it's going to make you sick. But then you might be eating out of that one trough, and then you come to find out this person is doing this or believing this, and you be like, man, that's why I'm kind of like, I like the digital age. That if you came across this video and was listening to me and you say, you know what, this guy's just rambling, man, let me change the channel. There, no harm, no foul. I'm still talking. The video gonna keep going. Somebody's gonna look at this, but then you can move on and say, hey, I'm not wasting my time listening to this guy. And that's the good thing about cyber's, space. It's there. Different people can pull little bits and pieces from what I'm saying that's good, and then the rest you can throw away. But again, pray to the Most High. Don't you don't always have to do drastic changes. You can a little bit here, a little bit there, because some people say, well, I'm just gonna stop watching. It took me some years to get to the place I'm at now, because I was one of the first ones, like I said, that was gonna be, you know, watching the Panthers or the Heels, all that. But like I said, over time, the Most High he just took that away from me, and it doesn't have anything to do with my age, because I know it's some young people that are the same way, right? And it's some old people that just is, in one of the neighborhoods that I lived in, I forgot what they called him, Panther Man, or I can't remember. He was a black guy. He had been at every Panthers game since they had started, and he used to wear this costume, and they would always put him on the camera. He lives in my neighborhood. He died here a few years ago. I forgot what it was, but you understand what I'm saying. And so again, just glean what you can out of this. You don't have to do it cold turkey, but I would ask the Most High to help me to start turning my understanding to the higher things in life that we need to prepare ourselves from, because this thing, he's getting ready to drop some things, and I'm believing that he's gonna be dropping some things this coming week across the United States. Um, we believe that. We believe that he's gonna start dropping some things across here, and we gotta be ready. We just gotta be ready. And I know those of you that have a ear to hear, those of you that are awakened, you will pick it up. You will change your perception of the things that they feed us to try to get us distracted. Not to say, like I said, you can't go and look at the stats and see who won or whatever and say, oh, I just can't. No, well, I'm saying that you don't give it that energy. You don't let your frequency be determined by the wins and losses of these teams and all this other kind of stuff, and that you don't put your money out there to the money changes, right? So this was just a video where I was just talking about sports and talking about some of the things, that, I've observed, and I want you to make a comment, leave a comment. Want you to subscribe to this channel. Want you to give it a thumbs up. Shalom, everyone. Be blessed.